What Big Ears, Chapter 7. Egalines Marie's mother had wanted her to have a different career, anything other than being one of the guardsmen. She wasn't sure how she'd tell her friends that her only child, her lovely daughter, had become a town guard. Egalina Marie, her mother would say, drawing out her name, believing it would help her daughter change her mind. What type of career is that for a woman? You could be a seamstress, or a nurse, or a guardsman, Mama. I want to be a guardsman, like Papa, Egalina Marie would reply. A couple of months ago, when her daughter had turned 19 years old, she finally accepted the path her daughter had chosen. She'd come to terms with it over time, ever since she'd first noticed her daughter sneaking off into the forest with an old rifle of her father's. Sometimes she would secretly follow her daughter and watch her practice, amazed at her skill as she shot from an incredible distance away at rocks she'd lined up on a fallen tree. Yesterday, as she'd watched her daughter up on a stage with the other boot camp graduates, her heart had filled with pride. Egalina Marie was the only woman among them, and from the reaction of the crowd, she wouldn't be the last. Her mother admired her daughter's determination. It reminded her so much of her husband. You must remember, said the overbearing sergeant to Egalina Marie, that even when you are marching for hours, you have to stay alert. It's probably the most important lesson for day one. You never know when something is going to happen. You need to be ready for it. Egalina Marie rolled her eyes and kept walking. They had already talked about alertness and being ready for anything. It had been repeated many times over at that month-long boot camp. It had been emphasized almost to the exclusion of everything else. Other than basic fighting skills and, of course, the importance of not shooting yourself or a colleague, the sergeant couldn't sense Egalina Marie's irritation. You don't believe me? He asked, puffing up his chest. She stopped and turned to look at him. Look where we are. We're on a mountain road in the middle of nowhere surrounded by forest. This place has no political importance. It doesn't have any resources. All it has is a great view, nice people, and the sergeant interrupted and smugly slated, cheese. Everyone loves our cheese. It is the heart of the commerce of our town. He rubbed his belly unconsciously. Egalina Marie laughed. Will we be invaded for our cheese then? I'll keep my eyes peeled for giant mice. The sergeant shook his head. He didn't appreciate her attitude. Danger and surprise can come in all forms. There are bears and... Egalina Marie turned and started walking again. Okay, bears, mountain lions, sometimes even bandits, she said, agreeing there was some danger to be found. The sergeant was about to say something, but Egalina Marie quickly gestured for him to stop and be quiet. What? Now there's suddenly danger? Are you making fun of me? He asked. Look, she pointed to a boy far off in the distance, running up the roads and waving his arms. The sergeant looked around. What? He said. He took his rifle from his shoulder. Don't you see him? Said Egalina Marie, surprised at her companion. Right there! A young boy running up the road yelling something. I can't read his lips, but I can tell you something's wrong. She started to run. What boy? Hey, where are you going? Richie kept waving at Egalina Marie until he was certain she was coming. He'd started to believe this would be the first day in his life he wouldn't run into guards on patrol. I need your help! You have to go to Monsieur Klaus's house, repeated Richie, gasping. Egalina Marie examined the boy, confirming he wasn't visibly injured. She said, slowly, please, what's the problem? Richie nodded as he reorganized his thoughts. You have to help. My friend is in trouble. There are men on horses with guns, and they're chasing her. Okay, enough, said the sergeant, huffing and puffing as he finally arrived. Move on, troublemaker. Egalina Marie was taken aback. He was telling me there are men on horses with guns. The sergeant looked down at Richie. Not likely. You can't trust children. He almost spat the last word out. I'm 13, said Richie, offended. He straightened up to his full height. Though he was gangly, he was the tallest of the Yellowhoods, and came up to the sergeant's shoulder and Egalina Marie's chin. They're always coming up with stories like this. They want us to dance like puppets while they pull the strings, said the sergeant. Bah! You'll come to learn they can't be trusted. Richie knew kids who had done exactly that, sometimes finding themselves marched off for a visit to the town jail. No, not me. I've never done that, said Richie. You don't even know me. Please! Richie was starting to panic. The sergeant scoffed. You're all alike troublemakers. Now go! Egalina Marie threw a sharp look at the sergeant. Didn't you say we needed to be alert? This is not what I meant, her superior replied defensively. Trying to prove his point, the sergeant asked, Did you see a bear? No, Richie replied, puzzled. He didn't see what this had to do with the situation. Did you see perhaps a mountain lion? The sergeant was being patronizing. No, but Richie tried to reply. Leave before we arrest you. The sergeant gestured for him to leave. Egalina Marie glared at the sergeant. I'm going to believe him. I believe him. I'm going with him. No, you are not, said the sergeant. My orders to you are to continue the patrol. Richie looked at Egelina Marie with hope, and then tugged on her hand. Please, quickly. My friends are in trouble. Monsieur Klaus is in trouble. When she turned to run off with Richie, the sergeant raised his rifle and took aim. Stop! He barked at them. You're under arrest. This is your last chance. As a guardsman, you are to follow orders from your superior. Leave the boy and come back here now, or else I will be forced to shoot. Egelina Marie couldn't believe the irony of the situation. Given their earlier conversation, she slowed and hollered back. I doubt you can even see us properly from there. Shoot if you have to. I have people to save. T stamped her foot and looked at her grandfather with steely eyes. I won't! Bacon interrupted. It's for your own good, kid. T was frustrated and angry. There was no way she'd abandon Nellie. I'm not going home! She's my best friend. She's in danger because she saved me! Nicholas bowed his head to think. He was stuck between his granddaughter's loyalty to her friend and his sense of duty to her and her mother. He couldn't argue with how she felt, after all. He'd been secretly building it up in her for quite some time. Squeals is back, said Bacon. Squeals emerged from the bushes, brushing needles and dirt off his shirt. Everyone gathered around to hear Squeals' report. I was able to get a look into the kitchen. There's a yellow-cloaked kid in there. She's doing a good job of keeping her face hidden. I think Lulu might not know he has the wrong kid. He gave a hopeful smile. Nicholas stroked his beard. Yes, this changes a few things, he mused. Some very important things. He turned to T. My dear, are you sure you're ready for this? Yes, she said determinedly. Good. We are going to need you if you're going to throw Lulu off his game, said Nicholas thoughtfully. T pulled her slingshot from one of Ellie's cloak pockets. I'm ready. Her grandfather smiled. Good. This is what we will do. He started to outline his plan to the group. T's thoughts returned to Ellie. I won't let you down, she promised herself.